That's recording, and then welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Joining you. That's what's happening. Joining.
That's it.
That's what's happening.
Joining you from the couch.
It's just a picture of
No,
me.
no, not that.
It's just a
Not
picture.
that.
It's just a model of me with another model of me on the bed.
You know what's so bad is like all of our when we do basically design development drawings for clients and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had never heard that term. But we'd always draw the master suite, master bedroom, whatever. Some people call it the primary because that's the new woke term. But I say fuck you and your wokeness. I'm just kidding.
The
No,
Ultra Master.
but no, it's actually, okay, we're going to totally segue for a second here. So, primary suite that became a thing, and everybody's like, oh, we got to say primary because master is suddenly bad, and it's like cool, except for the fact that I'm like, no, I'm not gonna give in to these people. I don't care what they say. I'm not doing it. Some people call that oppositional defiance. I call it standing on principle. But Tim, he's like, no, no, it's good. We don't want to offend anybody, and so, we should do that. And I'm like, you can do it on your drawings. I'm not doing it on mine. Well, he kind of pushes back on that a little bit, and we finally we he goes off and he goes to this meeting, and he comes back and he's like, we're never putting that on there again. I'm like, what? He's like, I was talking to these people, and we were talking about the interior designers, and I said, well, we're just gonna let the girls take care of that. And the lady, she gets all offended. She's like, what do you mean by that? Like the interior designers. Oh, why didn't you call them interior designers? Why would you assume that they're girls?
Yeah.
And
Because they
I saw,
they almost
yeah,
always
because
are.
they are.
Because
Yeah.
98% of the time.
And I saw this guy go from like, hey, we got to be sensitive because you never know if you're going to upset or somebody, where he's like, I hate that fucking bitch and we will not do work for her. I'm like, take that.
Yeah, like I just did some interior design stuff, and like yeah, it's a girl. That's the realm of things that happens. So perfectly fine and
Yeah.
understandable. Also, joining me tonight, he's secretly the heir to the hamburger helper fortune. It's Robert Wyatt.
I tell you, I hate it. So you'll buy it out of spite.
Yeah, you'll buy it out of spite, and he's just like, I don't want this money. I don't want this stained, cholesterol-ridden money. I can't deal with it. I can't have it. I've been on 3 weeks of vacation, so I've just been chilling out, uh, doing fine.
That,
Saw the new
that,
Superman movie. I saw that. Been going to the gym. Life's been pretty good. The new Superman movie. Have you seen it, Robert?
no, no. Any good?
It's actually pleasant. It's
Okay.
pleasant. It's a pleasant movie. It's you're going full DC Comics sort of thing. You got Crypto the dog, you got the Green Lantern, you got a bunch of other people who are in there. Like it's not like there's no origin story. It's just kind of like here's Superman. You kind of get the gist of it. He's been around for 3 years. He did. It's fun. It's interesting. It's very
It's popcorn
it's
movie,
a
right?
popcorn movie. It's very simple, good versus bad, whatever. And then I was like, all right. So then I watched Man of Steel the other night with Paige. And I was like, I think I actually like the new Superman better than the Man of Steel movies. I think it's a better movie.
I haven't seen that one either.
Oh, that's not one. That one's not bad. And then we watched the newest Batman movie, The Batman, which with Robert Pattinson, and that one's actually pretty dang good.
I actually liked that one.
That one's
And
good.
I don't know how people kind of took to that, but I enjoyed it, and so
Yeah,
take that for what it's worth.
I like that one. So we'll see what happens. But yeah,
No, I think once you got out of the '90s, most of the Batman movies were good. I mean, the first one, the first one that came back that who was it Tim Burton did was it felt more like a callback to the Adam West
yeah,
movie than anything, and then everything that like came after it, like with Schwarzenegger and George Clooney and all that stuff, that was just hot steamy pile of we're just trying to make money trash.
yeah,
But then when Christopher Nolan took it over, I really liked those. I thought those were awesome.
yeah. Those are good. And the Batfleck ones, like, yeah, we watched Batman v Superman again, and we're like, yeah, it's kind of
Okay, I've
okay.
never seen that, but I kind of want to see it because it could be good.
It's kind of all right. It's kind of not at the same time. It's just mid. It's just mid as hell, as the kids would say. But anyways, I got to go back to work tomorrow, so it kind of sucks. But
Boo.
what has been happening in the world of firearms, everybody, is SIG continues not to disappoint by keeping the SIG P320 in the forefront of all conversations at all times in the gun sphere. So there was the airman who allegedly had the discharge that killed him. It's very super sad. And now you saw a big ban on them not using their M17s, and then Bass Pro Shop is not accepting trade in M17s, and they're just not like the whole more and more Rangers are not allowing the SIG P320.
Yeah, George sent me a message and said gun sight. Yeah, gun sight.
Yep.
Officially said we're not letting them be used. And he kind of made the comment. He's like, this is the first domino to fall. You watch, everything's coming. And man, he was right. Like everybody is coming out through the woodworks and be like, yeah, we're done. And can you blame him? Honestly, at this point, maybe there is nothing wrong with a SIG, but I don't know anybody at this point who's like, yeah, I'd be more than willing to go and stick one down my pants and point it at my junk. I know nobody wants to do it. It's just you'd be stupid to even try.
There was that FBI report that Brand brought out a couple of weeks ago, like maybe 3 weeks ago, and that what they were talking about it. And then there was another guy who just posted another video where he set a screw in and was taking some of the slack out of the trigger. And seems like if the triggers has a certain depression where it might release like a little bit of the sear engagement, and then you wiggle the slide or something like that, then you can get the striker to completely fall, which is kind of interesting. And then some of the FBI stuff, it looked like they like if you take out a gun and like point it at something and like take the pre-travel out of it, and then send it back, that might kind of do it enough for a bump or a hitch or whatever. And a lot of people have done that. Like I couldn't count the amount of times that I've taken my loaded carry gun, put it on, aimed at something, prepped the trigger, and then like put it back away. I've done that a billion times. Pointed it at a light switch or something else safe, and then just kind of like prep the trigger or whatever, and then put it away.
Right.
And
Well, that's the thing. Like with I always liked with Ernest Langdon and his argument for the double action single.
Yeah.
Is like if you ever actually, I mean, the nice thing about a double is if you ever need to actually start doing, you can start taking the creep out of it, but you can let it off.
Yeah.
But with a SIG, it's gonna go off.
Yeah. It's pretty much. It seems like on that thing you only get so much sear engagement, and then every time you touch the trigger, you get like a little bit less, and then it gets a little sketchy. So like that's been kind of super interesting and also really scary that you had another fatality from it. And now that might be the crux that falls. Then Bruce Gray's coming out and talking about how you can't get this to happen, but if you do these 5 things or 6 things or 7 things or 3 things, you can then make it accidentally discharged. Like literally like a month ago, he was talking about, hey, if you put the 45 10mm takedown lever in the 9mm frame, it can cause some stacking, which would allow it to go off. So, but besides, you can't do it. And then it seems like normally there should only be like one vector to kind of make a gun accidentally go off. But now, like the more eyes are on the P320, there's like, oh, there might be a couple different vectors of making this thing go off. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious to see if USPSA actually takes a stand. I know Richmond Rod and Gun in California, they're one of the biggest clubs, USPSA clubs in the country as far as like, people who shoot and stuff like that. And they banned it. And I have no idea if SLPSA is going to add that to its ban train. I don't know why they would. I'm generally against banning things just in general, but geez, I don't know. I just can't see a world right now where anybody would willingly actually buy a SIG, except now if SIG like totally goes tits up over this thing, and you can like pick up like an M17 or 18 or whatever for like $150, I'm willing to give it a go. I'll try it.
I'll see. I'll see what can happen with it. I definitely think it should not be banned, but the other part is like they're not leaving anybody with a lot of confidence in choices, because at this point,
exactly.
At this point, you're dealing with the if something bad does happen, was it negligence on your part when you saw the signal that these things were going off? negligent on your part for not doing anything,
Well,
right? Like
I
that.
can tell you this.
Like
If I, yeah,
if half of everyone banned it from the range, and you're one of the ones that didn't, and then something happens on your range, then it's kind of like, well, what should we have done? Well, obviously there is a signal that told you to ban it, but who knows? Because no one
yeah,
can
but
fully replicate it completely.
that's the problem, though, right? I mean, because like you and I mean, we went through COVID, and everybody and their brother-in-law telling us that we had to go and get this jab or else we would kill grandma and things like that. And over time, I mean, the truth comes out, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's all bullshit. And I'm still waiting for the apology from all the people that I was going to kill grandma with, and I'll never get that. But at the same time, you're right, because it's like if you're one of the places that's like, yeah, we knew, and we didn't do anything. Does
Yeah,
that open you up for liability? I mean, maybe.
yeah,
I can tell you if I had a SIG and I would never. I mean, if I had a SIG, and I took it to the range or something like that. I'd put the gun on the table. I put the bullets in the magazine. I'd rack it with the gun pointing straight down range. I'd fire the gun until the bullets ran out, and then I put it straight back down. I'd never holster it. I'd sure as heck never appendix carry that dang thing
yeah.
because I know that there's something going on. And it's like all these claims of like, oh, if you get keys in it and do things like, yeah, but why is that not happening to anybody else? Oh, it happened in this one obscure case. Why not in all of your cases? Why is the commonality really seems to always be a Sig Sauer?
Yeah, and it's not just like, oh, some sort of accidental discharge. It's uncommanded fire. It's like I've seen lots of shady people do stuff with, like, if I think of like Shadow 2s, like I've seen Shadow 2s be shot over the berm. I've seen Shadow 2s get caught in like sweater pockets, and I've seen Shadow 2s discharge within like 2 feet of like the shooter or whatever. Like I've seen a bunch of that stuff. Does that have anything to do with the Shadow 2? No, it has a lot to do with me seeing a lot of sketchy stuff with guys who shoot shadows or very very light trigger type pistols. But
Right.
the uncommanded fire thing, like that's just a whole nother animal. And the funny thing is, it's more. It seems more and more like issues where like there has to be some sort of like pre-staging of the gun. Like if you just take it, load it, like there's probably enough sear engagement and the firing pin block seems to be all in place, that it should be completely safe. But what it does seem like is like if you probably interact with the trigger like a little bit after it's been loaded. Like let's say you're like one of these people who like loads the gun and you kind of have your finger in the trigger guard, or you kind of like take a little aim and like press down the trigger or whatever. Like it seems like that is probably one of those things where like on a Glock, like if you sit there and take a Glock and then like take the slack out of the trigger a little bit, go to the wall on the trigger, like you're pretty much defeating some of the like the firing pin block at that point. You're getting some of the
Hmm.
trigger bar up there, and it seems like some of these people might be defeating one of those safeties, and then that slop in the gun can just go any direction it wants. If
Right.
you got one that's a little bit sloppy or not enough sloppy, then all of a sudden you're dealing with an uncommanded discharge.
You suppose that's probably the issue with the SIGs is that because like SIG will tell you, this is the most tested firearm in the world, and we dropped it from 37,000 angles, and I have no doubt they did. I completely believe that they did. But I mean, but from what I'm hearing you say, it's almost like, okay, you can do all those things, but if you then start stacking tolerances, okay, well, if you start taking the slack out of the trigger and you continue to do these other things, that's where the problem potentially is going to happen. Since SIG has never really kind of said, hey, if these variables are in place, um, is that what's causing it?
Yeah, well, it's just like anything you've been sitting there hanging around with for a long, long time. Like if I do this little thing and then do that thing, I can get this response out of whatever equipment I'm using. But it's not like that is part of a test. So people
Hmm.
like go through all these different tests or test protocols, and they go like, okay, like, hey, it passed all the tests. It's the most tested gun. It's like, okay, well, like it passed the test, but it doesn't mean that it can't be set up to fail in these certain circumstances. And
Right.
like it be set up to fail by certain users. I mean, there's not. I don't know of any pistol test which is like play with the trigger a little bit and then grab the slide and then rotate it and then get it to fire. But one of the interesting things is in that FBI video, like they could set up circumstances and then tap the top of the gun and get the gun to discharge. So it's like we understand you guys might have tested it. It's just like I believe they tested it, or at least the Army probably ran it through some stuff, but it's just
I
what would
think
you
that's the problem. I don't know who said it, but basically they're like, well, it's this engineer mindset. You know, we tested this at our facility, and it's perfectly fine. So that means that everybody else is lying.
yeah. Yeah,
And
you can get people who I've gone through all this stuff so therefore it doesn't work. And lots of times you'll run into people like that, and then like you're like you have your explanation, you show them, they say no, 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 and then I mean, well, the great example is like how many of these issues have you caused yourself with your gun and then seen it in someone else's gun? And you're like, I know exactly what that is, and then they would be like, no, it's not that, it's this or it's that, and it's like that has nothing to do with it. Like I've been having weird ejection problems out of my Glock 26, and so yesterday, I open it up. I go take the extractor spring out, and I'm like, man, this extractor spring is not coming out. And these things are just supposed to, pull right out of the back of the gun or even shoot out.
hmm
And so I'm like, I don't even know what the cuss is happening here. And then like I can't get it to pull out. So anyway, I finally pull it out. The spring part comes out. The rod is still sticking in there, and so like I'm able to like take a flathead screwdriver and push it back a bit and get the extractor out, then use a punch and kind of knock it out. And then I see this thick blue sleeve around the extractor plunger, and I'm like, when did they start putting a sleeve around there? It's already so tight in there. And then I realize, oh, that's blue Loctite from when I put on the optic screw. It leaked down in there because too much got in,
Oh,
and then that seized up the extractor. And so like
that, that's funny.
well, it's just like, well, how much of that was tested? Like if you took that gun and sent it back to Glock and they
Right.
were like, "Oh, well, we'll check the channel or whatever." Like they could go in there and check the channel, but if you tell them something crazy or something that they're going to like have some sort of liability over, they're not going to even address it. We have like these things that happen at work every once in a while where like people will get like pick up hazardous materials, and they'll pick up hazardous materials, and what will happen is there'll be some vapor coming out of hazardous materials or the carbon monoxide or whatever. Like, yeah, if you pick up a bunch of dry ice or whatever, I forget if I think it's carbon monoxide. Like if you pick up a bunch of dry ice packets and then you have it
Carbon
enclosed
dioxide.
dioxide, have it in the
Yeah.
in a closed off area, then you open your door, you walk in to make a delivery, you take a big huff of that stuff, and then get knocked the f out, and then possibly could die. And then what does UPS do, or sorry, any other large shipping company? They'll just be like, let's not bring it up and address that in front of everybody because it's a very rare circumstance, and we don't want to. If we bring it up now, then we're gonna have to deal with a bunch of liability. We could get sued by the driver or whatever like that because we knew that this was a possibility, but we kind of turned a blind eye to it. Yada yada yada. It's is the package car tested for that? Is it's just like no, it's not. But those are circumstances where you can just have like terrible, terrible consequences.
Well, it's
So
interesting. Like you have Bruce Gray over there who's putting out the videos saying that it cannot go off except for this one thing and this other thing kind of thing. And we were talking in another chat, and it's like there's this part of me that is like, okay, well, this is his entire livelihood, and so I would expect him to come out and defend it. But then Nate makes this comment. He's like, yeah. The problem is he's shot all of his credibility because this is the same Bruce Gray that was saying that these guns cannot go off when they're dropped, and we all found out they could drop when they go off, and people spent like a month or 2 months or whatever on the internet making jokes about the fact that this gun was going off, and then SIG does whatever, but they say we're going to do a voluntary upgrade, which is the nice way of saying we're not going to admit liability, but these things actually they did have a problem.
yeah,
And so I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard because I'm sitting here and it's like you want to. I mean, Bruce Gray's done a ton of stuff for the shooting communities and things like that, but Nate brings up a point. He's destroyed his credibility.
yeah,
And I mean, SIG at the same time. I mean, they've gone around and they've said there's nothing wrong with these guns. This gun's perfectly perfect. But we have this history of us going through and doing, well, the voluntary upgrade and just a gun that is just known. And right now, you have recency bias. There's probably misleading evidence in that too, with the airman who died from it. And we don't know. We don't actually know what directly caused it. But there are so many of these instances that are showing up on video of guns discharging, and SIG is like, oh well, it was this. Oh well, it was that. Oh well,
Well,
it was that. Okay, but the one commonality in all of these and all of these things happening is they were all SIGs.
yeah. Well, the
That's
one thing too is like we're even getting beyond the point of seeing the stuff go off on video, like the whole thing with the GBRS group where they're like, sitting there crossing their arms and saying, "Until I see it do X, Y, or Z on video." It's just like we're not running into seeing it happen X, Y, or Z like on video. The incident of the gun going off on video untouched. We're getting into the parts where guys are videoing how to get it to go off repeatedly, and so the thing with Bruce Gray, that's kind of, it's like, yeah, we get it. Like you can look on a schematic and you can see with all the testing or whatever like that. Like if all these things are working properly, the gun can't go off. And like yeah, sure, if they're all working properly, the gun can't go off. The issue is like it does not seem like everything is being installed and put together properly in a
oh
proper
yeah.
fashion. So
And then
it's
you have the tolerance stacking issue, which is you take a slack out of the trigger, and all those little things that in and of themselves probably wouldn't do anything suddenly start to do something.
yeah, no manufacturing process can make it through poor quality control. Bad
Yeah.
engineering and poor quality control, like nothing can make it through that. So it's a joke. But anyway, hey, you got something that's not a joke that you bought. What'd you get?
I so a couple weeks ago I was at the armory, and we got talking about, so the government came through and they passed this new suppressor as a part of the big beautiful bill budget, whatever the frick that thing is called. But basically, it took the suppressors down to zero, but it wouldn't go into effect until the beginning of the year,
Mm-hmm.
next year in 2026. And so we were just talking between the employees and me and everything at at the armory, and it was like, okay, well, when do you buy this thing? And they like, well, if you buy it now, you're guaranteed to get it because it's just going to be in stock because everybody's going to be waiting for it. And one of the guys is like, well, Silencer Co's doing a cool thing where they're actually letting you buy the suppressor now, and they'll ship it to your whatever your dealer is. In this case, it'd be the armory for me, and they'll hang on to it until the beginning of the year. So in January 1 of 2026. And at that point, you can actually just get, you can just throw so that it's not going to be anything, but
Yep.
they'll put that through. You'll get your suppressor and you'll be good to go. And I'm like, that's kind of cool because I'm not really in a rush for it, but I've been wanting to get the Omega 9K. Jared had one or has one, and I like it. I think it's a great little suppressor. It's a rugged one. I know Silencer Co. They've got a new one out. I think it's the Spectre 9
Spectres.
or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
And it's nice. It's a titanium one. It's a lot lighter. Suppose it has, but it's we were actually talking about it in the store, and it's like there. If you go back and still one of the best suppressors I think that Silencer Co. ever made was the Specwar, the 556 Specwar, and I have that, and it's just been rugged. It runs like a champ. I've never had a problem with it, and it's a chunky little boy, but it works, and it works exceptionally well. I don't get blowback or anything. And that we were talking like, there's something to be said for the older series that Silencer Co is putting out. And I like the Omega 9K, and the thing that's cool about it is because it's all steel and that it's all welded, I can actually supersonic 300 blackout. And I still like 300 blackout, as useless, kind of useless as it is. I still think 300 blackout is really a cool round. And so I have other 9 millimeters, but I don't have one that would shoot supers. This one will. And so I went to Silencer Co. It was out of stock. Did the notify me thing. It came back this week. I put it all in, logged in, filled it all out. They sent me an email back says fill these things out, and yeah, it's good to go. It's actually going to ship to the armory Monday.
Oh, that's
I'm
nice.
excited.
What are
It's
you
going to be
putting
cool.
it on?
It's definitely it's majority going to go on my MP5.
Okay.
Like yeah, it's like 90% of what's going on, and I think it'll be great there. But I have my little 300 blackout. I'll take that out and I'll use that on there occasionally. But definitely the super safe MP5
Yeah.
because it's just awesome, and it's nice. It's compact. I have the Octane, but that thing is what 8 inches. I
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah. And that's what's nice with their little Spectre 9K or whatever their Spectre was like it's like you're talking like a 5-inch little suppressor that could thread on and just hold on there. It was relatively quiet when we shot it. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it was great. It was surprising how nice that was for what it was. And the Omega, it weighs more. I know that, but I'm actually okay with that. It
yeah,
was what $630, and so
it's
it's
not
cool with
bad.
that. I'm
It's not bad
no, it's
money.
not.
It's not bad
Especially since you
money.
don't have to pay the tax stamp on it.
Yeah, that's what I was sitting there looking at buying uppers, and I'm just like, yeah, I can probably wait till there's no tax stamp on some of the lowers and just buy myself like an 11.5 or whatever. I'm sitting there and
Hmm.
I'm moving stuff around, and I have my 516, and I grab it, and I'm just like, and I have the YGM turbo on the end of it, and I'm just like, oh, this thing's kind of a little unwieldy. And then I'm like, I could get this Geistly Super Duty, and you know what would be handy? A Steyr AUG. A Steyr AUG would be nice and handy because it would be super short and it's got a 16-inch barrel and it would have a trash trigger. So I'm just kind of messing around with that thing. But
Reliving because that was in Die Hard,
that
right?
wasn't Die Hard. I always thought that they were
Yeah.
just pretty cool. I just think that they're kind of a cool gun. The only thing that really starts bugging those is that bugging with those is that when you start playing with like bullpups and other guns that do not have an adjustable collapsing stock, it just gets frustrating because you're just like, well, I want it exactly the way I want to feel it for that length of pull. And then on most of those bullpup guns, it's always one solid, pretty long length of pull. So we'll see how it
Can
goes.
you on the Steyrs? Can you? So I'm left-handed, right? So can I switch the ejection to the other side, or I don't know
I
how
don't
that
think on the
works.
Steyr. Well, on the Steyr, I believe you can. It has two ports that allow you to close one port and open the other port for right side eject or left side eject. And yeah, I think you can do that. Swap the bolt face over, and it'll do it. On some of them, you have to order like the complete like left-handed bolt, like on the Tavors. You would have to order like
Oh, right.
the you would have to order the gun in left hand to get them to do that. But like a lot of the like new Steyr AUGs, they actually have like brass ejectors and stuff like that. But you'd probably be eating brass anyway out of the stupid thing because that's what happens to everybody. Bad triggers and they eat brass. So it's just what you have to do when you have a bullpup. But that's always been my fun thing is just like I want like 16-inch barrel, shorter than a 10.3, and but the whole reason I get another upper is just to stay away from like the SIG proprietary stuff and
Yeah.
any proprietary stuff, but especially like Sig came out with the 516 again, and I'm just like, nope, I'm not touching that thing with a freaking 10-foot pole. I'm not messing around with that whatsoever. So
It's hard to want to trust anything Sig right now. That sucks. That because Sig historically has been a fine firearm. I don't particularly like the 226, but there's no doubt that the 226 was a great. It was a great gun.
yeah, no, they're fantastic handguns. Their handguns were really good, but somewhere probably past 2010 is when a lot of the stuff got kind of rough. And the funny thing is, like now the Kimber's making a comeback because everyone's got
Dude, I
rave
know.
reviews of the 2K11. So I just that's pretty funny. But yeah, it's a weird time again where I
Timber is quality and Sig is shit.
and Glock makes like some of the most accurate pistols, and it's just kind of a crazy time to be living in the gun world. And if you want your crazy time, head on over to Dominate Defense American Operator Gear, just American Operator Gear. Use promo code PARA10 and save 10% off your order. Get the best concealment belt / you can get the best competition belts out there in the industry. Use promo code PARA10, save 10% off your order. Also, check out Rune Tactical. Get a +1 magazine kit, +1 round magazine kit for almost basically all the popular firearms out there. You can get, oh man, what am I doing? +1 spring kit. Use promo code PARA10, save 10% off. And W74 guide rods. Kevin's got batteries, guide rods, springs, everything you kind of need to make your gun heavy. Heavy up front. Tungsten accessories for your, get that gun up to 60 ounces because you need it. So check him out. PARA10, save 10% off your order as well. Also check out Telegram. We have our little chat there. Search PARAcast. You can ask us questions. We'll do our best to answer them.
From our good buddy Rod Davison, I have a German SIG 226X5 matte steel finish. The slide has some marks and needs refinishing. Where do you recommend sending it to? You don't need to send it to anybody. That's perfection out of the box. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, like if you have a piece like that, doing the refinishing is kind of a deal unless you really want to shoot it no matter what. Definitely anyone who could do nitride would be decent enough if it's going to be hard use. And if you're not going to do something like nitride, then find someone who will hard chrome it. Who did your hard chrome, Robert, for your Shadow 2s? For your Shadow 2?
Impact machine.
Impact machine, yeah. You can do something like that. Like if it's really going to be a hard use kind of gun and you really want it to stand up and you want to do something that's not original factory, that's kind of the way you do it.
Yeah. From Rob Moreno, yesterday was one of my better matches and everything was going well till the last stage, which was the classifier. I was pushing speed through a mic and came in at 56%. What tips can I use to stop myself from getting nervous and trying to zero or hero classifiers? That's easy. Just shoot it like a stage.
Shoot it like a stage. Like here's the one. Have the sight every time when you draw the gun, and every position that you enter, have the sight before you start shooting. And you're like, but it's 4 feet away and it's a slant. Fair enough. If you have to transition to another target that would require something more than point shooting, it's advantageous to have the sight when you get into position. And then when the dot's at the point where you want to shoot or an acceptable point, that's when you fire. It's when you don't have the dot that you miss, because the dot shows you where the barrel is pointing. Now, this sounds very like simple and rudimentary, but it's literally true. Like if I was talking to a shooter at the cop match, and he's kind of having a hard time with it, and he's like, I want to do good in front of all the other people, and there's a lot of my peers here, and I want to shoot well. And it was just like, okay, here's the tip. Have the dot at every position. And it's the same way with shooting classifiers and everything or anything else. Like if you have the dot at every position before you start engaging, you will most likely have the dot for the rest of the targets that you're engaging. Think about it. There's not a lot of targets where you've sat there and shot when you started that position with the dot. But when you come into the position and you have the big open paper and you come in and you start shooting that, and maybe you pull off 2 alphas or you pull a close alpha Charlie, and then you transition to something else, that's when the danger comes in. And then a lot of people, when they're really pushing the speed, they will not start noticing the dot till they notice a target that has a higher penalty than they are willing to accept. So it's like no dot, maybe a flash of red, something in there. Gosh, I'm so damn fast. Why am I not a GM yet? And then they start coming over to the hostage target or the tux target, and then all of a sudden you see them, and even in your mind's eye, like thinking back, you see some kind of correction of the dot from like the top right or the top left of the screen. Or if you're really terrible, like if you're really starting, not terrible, but like you're inexperienced, you'll see it low. But most of us will have it kind of high, and then we'll have to kind of like bring it down to where we want onto the target and to start shooting. And all that's really just, it's really a symptom of not having the dot when you start a position. Have it on the draw, have it when you enter a position, and mostly everything will turn out for you.
The so I agree with everything you're saying. The one thing I would say that I've tried to preach this for a long time now is, like, why do I people say, like, why I always mess up classifiers? Why do we get nervous when I shoot classifiers? And the response is because you think you're something you're not. You think you have to be something that you're not. All you have to do is show up and shoot the stage. You don't have this nervousness when you shoot any other stage. You show up, you do all the things that Tommy said, and you do it at a very high level, and then you move on to the stage. But for some reason in your head, when you show up to that classifier, you suddenly think that you have to be something that you're not right now. And you've got to show, you've got to prove that, yes, I actually am the B, A, C, D, whatever it is that you are. No, all you have to do is show up, shoot the stage just like you shot the other 5 stages, and then move on. There's no reason for you to treat the classifier as anything other than an extension of the 6 stages that you have to shoot
Yeah.
over the course of a given day. Just shoot it.
Well, the other thing too
And
is like when people want to do that, or even if they want to stage and it's just like, all right, well, like I understand I'm close, I want to beat this person. They just shot this time. I will have to shoot a faster time than that. And like, so where does all the time come up? If you've been doing the sport for any amount of time, you're like, okay, splits and transitions are generally going to be the fastest way that I can make up time. I have to shoot, split, and transition faster, nail a reload or whatever, because that's the only thing I can really do. I can't really move much faster, um, and that's not where all the time is. But man, if I could split 5 hundredths of a second faster on every shot, or 300ths of a second faster by every shot, 10 shots, man, there's 3 tenths of a second. Man, I could really use 3 tenths of a second. Um,
yeah, and Steve Anderson, I really like Steve when he said this, but he talked about people think, well, I'm just going to go faster on the stage. I need to catch up, so I'm going to go faster. And he made this analogy to, like, if you're driving in town and you need to get I need to get somewhere that's 15 minutes away, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to drive really, really fast. Okay, well, it doesn't actually matter. Over the short course of a 15-minute drive, you're going to have to drive 100, 200 miles an hour to make any discernible difference. Where you make all of the impact is when you're driving from Salt Lake City to St. George, Utah over the course of 300 miles. It's the stuff you do consistently over the long course of a match that makes all the difference. You don't have to be like 100 on every single stage. But generally speaking, you need to be like 85%, 85% on all the stages, because the consistency over the long course is what matters. You rolling into a classifier and thinking that you got to somehow hundo this because I got to get that A or whatever. That, that's one stage in a match. And the nicest thing that the classifier committee did was they kind of took that out of play.
yeah,
Now they're going to reward you on consistency, and consistency is the key to winning big matches.
and if I was going to start or try to zero hero or try to make up points, the one thing I would want when I'm pressing the trigger and trying to reduce the time in between shots was to make sure the damn gun was pointed where I wanted it to.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like if you draw, if like, man, I got to make splits and you don't put the gun oriented exactly where you want to, like if I want to like predictively shoot doubles, I know two things. If I watch the dot, the bullets will go high. If I aggressively start grabbing or squeezing the gun as my hands tightening up in recoil, I will start pushing shots low. So if I'm going to run the trigger like an idiot as fast as I can, I would like the dot center of the A zone. So when I mash the trigger twice, that's going to give me enough border around the entire A zone that I can probably put those bullets into. But so it's just like, even if you're going to go full tilt, point the gun in the best possible position to acquire the points.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. From Eric Mealander. After seeing another competitor suffer a gunshot wound, reminder to check your I can't remember this IFAK. What is that?
IFAC
Individual
in the
first
first
aid
aid
kit.
kit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Supplies. What's critical for range safety and medic support?
Well, you would just, as far as what you're doing, like one, stopping arterial bleeds, like that would be good. Some sort of tourniquet. Some quick clot would be decent, but mainly something clean and absorbent to shove in the hole. Like
Mhm.
stop the bleeding, put a lot of stuff in, like just having a big wrap of gauze or what's Coralex or something like that. Like I
Correct.
don't even like just have something in there to stuff in the hole. Like even if you sit in there and you're like, oh, I have some Hanes undershirts or whatever. Like I washed them, they're clean or whatever. I'm just gonna take a gallon Ziploc bag, stuff a couple in there, do that. Like even just having something as simple as that to stuff in a wound can mean a big deal of difference. Like something to cut fabric, something to stuff into the wound, and something to document what happened, mark time or whatever like that. If you have on the tourniquet, like that would be pretty decent stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, having gauze, Z fold, like the Z fold bandages are fantastic. That's what I used when I had to deal with it. Uh, the biggest thing to me is, in terms of what's critical, is not actually the supplies themselves. It's your ability to keep your head while everyone else is losing theirs. And it almost sounds trite when I say that, but I've now been in enough situations where there's been an emergency, and I'm not saying this, I'm not special by any stretch. Don't misunderstand me, but I've been in enough situations where I was the only one that was actually like mentally aware enough to be like, Tom, you go call 911. Jared, you go do this. Because so often people, they freeze, they lock up, and I don't really understand why. I mean, there's a lot of like psychology behind it, but I've seen it so many times. The thing you have to become really good at is mentally preparing for the event that, like, if this happens, I will do this. I will
Yep.
take care of this. Because I know, like, when I had that happen with an individual, um, I went I grabbed his gun, I cleared his gun, put it on the table, come over, and then I grabbed the first aid kit, and I'm starting to do everything. And I'm paying attention to this, but at the same time, it's like, okay, who's calling 911? Oh, somebody's calling 911.
Yeah.
Good. The you, a lot of the first aid kit and stuff like that, that's going to be there. You're going to acquire that stuff on your own. Mentally take the time to actually prepare for that moment in time and what you are going to do, because if you rehearse it in your head, you'll actually do it in practice.
Well,
That's my suggestion.
yeah. Well, the one thing too is like we have that video of that last guy who shot himself. I forget where he had shot him, where he shot himself, the left-handed shooter. Um, where that was, and I was showing the video, and Paige was watching. Paige being an RN, she's just like, the plan of who's doing what and what we're actually doing, of like what the guy's saying, like, no, it's not an arterial bleed. I think I'm okay. It's just like, um, no, we're gonna treat this as the worst case scenario, and then we're gonna have somebody make the phone call and have the plan and just start executing it, not kind of having the conversation about what will happen or will not happen, or having the what would you say, almost like the debate about what we will or
Yeah.
will not do. So
Yeah, the people will default to the person, they will default to the person who basically exhibits the most, I guess, take chargedness,
yeah,
intelligence in the situation, and then that's good, right? Because it means that somebody's actually doing something.
yeah.
But
But
it's
there's a lot of, like, what she was talking about with me was like, yeah, there's a lot of secondary effects that can happen to somebody if they're, so like you have someone who's shot in the leg, and it might not be
Mhm.
an arterial bleed, and so there it's kind of like this laissez-faire. Oh, I'm okay. Like we don't need to do this or we don't need to do that. And this guy's calling 911, and then it's just like, well, then all of a sudden this guy collapses, and then you're just like, oh, okay. Here's another system of shock or whatever that's passing through him, and then what? And so yeah, like
Right.
having the training and knowing what you're gonna do.
Yeah, there's a term called it's a vascular spasm, like vasospasm, I think
Mm-hmm.
is what they call it. Basically, like you saw that with that fellow, and I saw it as well, where the muscles actually contract, and that your body's doing that to keep itself alive.
Yep.
And so that's a part of your body trying to keep all the blood inside you. And the challenge with that is, for a lot of people, they will see that and like, oh, it's not that bad, it's not bleeding that much. But eventually, the body is going to it's going to relax, And if you haven't actually taken the time to get stuff into that, to basically pack that wound out correctly, it will start bleeding again
Yep.
if the body hasn't solved other things. And so in some cases, and I learned this after the fact, like people they'll shoot themselves in the leg or something like that, and they'll hit an artery or something, and it will not look like they are actually in as much trouble as they really are, but they'll actually start bleeding and you'll see it in their feet. The blood will start pooling down in their feet. And that's when you're like, okay, we're actually in trouble
Yeah.
here. And so the tourniquet. And that's an interesting thing. But like in our sport and what we do, it's almost like the tourniquet is our hammer and everything is a nail. It's like
Yeah.
tourniquets have a place and they're good. They're not always the solution. And even in my case, some cop from Idaho comes up and he's like, "We need to put a tourniquet on." And the range doctor guy, who's actually a surgeon, he's like, "No, we don't." He's like, "Yeah, we do." And eventually, the range doctor's like, "Fine, just put it on, just don't crank it down." And
Yeah.
he's just like, just shut up and leave me alone, sort of thing. But yeah, just, I mean, mental. I always tell people just mentally prepare in case. That's what I would suggest.
Yep.
Let's see from JT. What holsters and carry ammo does Robert use for his LCP-22? Did you have any issues with reliability? DeSantis makes a sticky holster. I carry it just in a pocket. It's DeSantis makes a little sticky holster. It works incredibly well. As far as ammo, CCI. I use the CCI. I can never remember the end name of it, but it's the hollow point issue, and it's 1235 feet per second, and that has been the most
Something mini
reliable
mags or
ammo.
whatever, right? Something
I
else
think
is the
that's what
mini
they're
mags.
called. Yeah, I have some of it somewhere. I'm sitting around here. I think it's their mini mags, and it works great. CCI has always been a very good quality. It just works. I've had great luck with it. I can shoot other types of ammo, but as far as what I carry, it's always the
Well,
CCI mini
those
mags.
LCPs, they also had like, because it was kind of hit and miss whether or not you got a good LCP 22. Then they have like those spring kits
Yeah.
now that you can
Hmm.
buy, and it's like $30 and it replaces all the springs or whatever. I think it was, I don't know if it was like a spring co kit or whatever it was, but there was something. Just look up LCP 22 spring kit and you'll probably be much happier about it.
Yeah, and I was one of those people that have been lucky. It's been a very very reliable 22 for me, so I've been beyond over the moon for that. Um, from Moisha, if in your opinion, how long can a pocket knife be put down without being lost? Like, I'm not going to repocket in the middle of cutting down boxes.
What is it? The Woodman's Rule or whatever like that. You always put it back where it belongs. Yeah, that's why like the CRKT, that's the brand for you. Like it's like the $40 knife where it's just like you've lost it. Like I've lost two Spyderco's and a Gerber automatic knife, and I'm very much on the I will get a $50 CRKT from Amazon, and if somewhere around the $57 mark is I can't lose it. So I've had this one for a year and a half. I can't lose it. Good little everyday CRKT executive or whatever it is, and it's been a solid knife. I have had told Paige in a benchmark infidel would be great, but I can never leave the house with it. So
Oh, I have. I can't remember what that benchmate is, but it's an out the front,
yeah,
and if you go buy it, I think it's like $300. Interestingly, I kind of have a similar opinion with you, except for I think the more expensive it is, the less inclined I am to leave it lying around. And because I believe that an out the front knife, like the switchblade, right, a switchblade knife, I think those are eminently the most. Push the button back in, and it goes back in, and it's safe again. You don't have to worry about like unfolding and folding a liner lock knife. But yeah, never put the knife down. You use the switch to retract it, and you'll be fine.
yeah, like the knife that's impossible to lose is you get one of a fixed blade that has kind of a lanyard to your belt, and then maybe like the little blades like not too long, maybe 3.5 inches, and you slide that in your pocket because you take it out, you clack it out, and then you do what you have to. Then you put it back in its little scabbard, its sheath. You put it back in your belt. But the one thing it's never going to do is just fall out of your pocket. That's what always happens
Yeah.
to me. They fall out of my pocket. They hit the ground. I don't hear them hit the ground, and then it's gone. So
I I kind of want to take off the what do you call it? This little the pocket clip thingy. I want to take that off and just get rid of it
yeah,
because I'm afraid of that. I
yeah,
hate that
that's
thing.
that's what happens to mine.
From Brenton, if you had to run a high point pistol at a major, which one would you run? Which division and what mods would you do? Keep in mind, it's not on the production list.
I'm not sure. You've run a high point. You have high points. I'm not even sure what the model list of them. I've never looked at a high point even in fun. Like I understand like the Yeet Cannon and they have like a 10 millimeter version, and I know they're little carbine or whatever like that, but I've never even looked at them to give you a guess.
What was that the dynamic pi high point they did
Yeah,
the ultimate high point
yeah, with like the
forever ago?
yeah with like Frank Proctor and Ben Steger on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the best.
yeah, the new platform.
If I had to do one, I what I would do is I would get one of the 40 Smith and Wesson models. I'd put a dot on it, and I would shoot it in L10. I've actually thought about this because they only come with 10 round magazines, so I could shoot it in L10. I'd get major scoring with the 40, and since it's limited 10, I could probably do a frame mounted optic and have it actually work.
Yeah, it might actually
That's
run at
that.
that
That's all
point.
I got, right?
At
You
that
know that
point,
that might work.
at that point, you're just dealing with high point versus high point. You're not dealing with high point, fighting accessories.
Yeah, and the beauty of that whole setup is you're out like $200. So it's a win. I mean, literally shooting the bullets are going to be more expensive than the gun just to shoot it, so you'll
Yep.
be okay.
Yep.
From Colby, backup guns for matches. Do they need to be an exact copy of your main pistol, or will a slight variation of the same gun be close enough for your own comfort? Ideally, they would be the same. For example, Staccato P and an XL.
Yeah, close enough. As close as you can get would be preferred. Like the general rule would be, if you can't buy two, then don't buy one for competition. Like if you're trying to like decide whether or not it's like, oh man, I would really like a Dan Wesson DWX, and then it's just like, well, that's like an $1,800 pistol. I can't buy two. Then it's just like,
Right.
well, then it's like, all right, well, here's two Glock 47s. Have fun. Or the two Shadow 2s on a deal, kind of a thing. And so, like, the point is close enough to have that it's obviously going to feel the same, that the triggers are going to be pretty much similar, but that they can be used for backup parts for each other at a major. So like
Yeah,
you definitely want to have
100%.
your backup gun and your primary gun, and one's going to be a practice gun. So like the one that's going to do the majority of the practice, it would sure be nice if the match gun felt like that too. I think people kind of see it as like, oh, I want two different guns. I'll get a Glock 19 and a Glock 17, and that can work for a lot of stuff. Or I'll get a Shadow 2 compact and then a regular Shadow 2. But what you really want is like the gun that's going to do the majority of the practice. You would sure like the match gun to feel the same way, and you would like the backup parts for it to go in that direction. So generally as close as you can get them to do. And that's the other deal with like 2011s and other guns that require fitted parts, is you want them to be pretty similar, because you're most likely not going to have a breakage and then be taking parts out of one to the other. Like
Right.
don't want to be shooting two basically different guns.
Yeah, you've already committed to spending anywhere between, let's just say, 750 to maybe $2,000 to go shoot this match. After everything's all in, the gun ceases to be as big of an issue. If you're going to shoot major matches, you want to have as close of a match as possible. And I know not everybody's out there as rich as like Zach Harbrink or something like that, and got 27 infinity guns. But at the same time, you need to be working towards a second gun that's as much of identical copy as possible.
Yep.
And in my case, a third or a fourth because I'm just stupid that way.
Well, the thing is too, it's like there's so many good guns that as long as like if you can accept shooting a polymer gun or a Canic rival steel frame, there's kind of not a reason that you would compete consistently in USPSA without having the two guns.
Right.
And that's the
Well, I
thing.
mean, Brantley Merriman. I mean, he second at Carry Optics Nationals a couple weeks ago. I mean, he's shooting what is basically a stock Glock 17.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, that's pretty basic bitch right there, and he sure seems to make it work.
yeah, and the other part is too, it's like I know that the Shadow 2 is now like the poor person's version of a pistol in USPSA, for like, oh, everyone's going into limited optics and whatnot. But
Right.
like this did not used to be the thing. Like before, like steel frames were kind of like the rare thing. You'd see the occasional Tanfolio and then, the SPO1s and the SPO1 Shadows. Before that, everyone was shooting a polymer gun. And there's still a lot of polymer guns can still do you a whole lot of good. So whether that's PDPs or Glocks or M&Ps, you'll be just fine without the fanciest whiz bang option. But having two is definitely more important than having slight variations.
Let's see, from Kevin, how do you feel about high round count stages or majors or even locals, like more than 35, assuming that it doesn't kill match flow? That is. Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, it's fine. Like if there's a magic button that doesn't let it disrupt the match flow, but like what's being tested and is it really being tested? Like the only thing that you can really do with like 35 rounds, like we can test kind of more of everything in a stage, or we can make it a big what would you say memorization process where it's like it's a very complex stage. It has 16 targets out there and four pieces of steel, and there's some stuff that's hidden. And it's like, okay, well, you made me memorize a stage plan that makes me hit everything, and I got to try to execute that.
Yeah, I mean, like, would you? I mean, assuming that you think about like what all the divisions think of revolver, think of single stack, limited capacity guns, and it can still be done, and you can do it fine. Yeah, fine, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not that big of a deal.
as long as skills get
Oh,
tested, fine. But like, you can
yeah,
definitely do a whole lot more with less. And the other part is
yeah,
too is like the more reloads you have, the more simple it becomes. Because at some point you've made it so stretched out or there's so many different positions that everyone who does not carry more than 10 rounds in the gun is just going to reload in between each position anyway. So then
yeah.
you're just in a thing where you're like this guy's going to shoot 6, then they're going to walk over here while loading, shoot 6, walk over here while loading, shoot 6, walk over here while loading, shoot 8, walk over and
Right.
it's just less dynamic.
From Brian Zant, I'd like to hear more about why you have such a badly deformed cockerel. Well,
It's called Peyronie's
because
disease. Sorry, it's what it is.
well, the rooster has the thing called it's a genetic deformation, a skull deformation called crossbeak, and so the bottom of the beak is one direction, and
Yeah,
the top of the beak is another direction, and generally in the wild, um, that a chicken would not last to adulthood because it couldn't get the nutrients and it would just die. But where we have it, um, Mercedes right now, we we're probably gonna have to cull it, but right now it's very friendly. And so Mercedes is, being tender, and she's like, I don't want to get rid of it yet, which is fine. So Frico Beak we just let Frico Beak do its thing. So there you go. From Itzik, if you want to see a picture of it, head on over to the Telegram. There's a picture of it in the Telegram chat. But from Itzik, hey guys, Israeli regulations force me to shoot IPSC with my daily carry Glock 34. Is it worth upgrading from a Vortex Defender SD to the XL, or is the bigger size too much for carry? I kind of like the ST. I don't.
the
I,
S
I wouldn't feel bad about shooting it in competition at all.
the ST is not a small sight. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like it's in a brand that has the micro one that's more kind of standard RMR size. The ST is wider than an RMR. It's about as tall as the Delta Point Pro. And the Delta Point Pro was tall. I'm talking about like glass height, not deck height, but
Yeah, yeah,
basically
yeah,
the
yeah.
glass. It's as tall, it's as wide as a Glock side, and it's as tall as kind of the Delta Point Pro. Um, 3 years ago, before I would say when the SRO was the biggest, you would kind of look at the Vortex Defender ST as like maybe the second largest optic. Like it's not a Max or something like that, but it's the larger end of what you would have as a duty kind of slide right optic. And it has all the other features as the XL. It's just not basically as wide. It's like a little bit less tall and not as wide. And so for like
Yeah.
concealed carry, it's great. I have one on my Glock 26 because it's literally as wide as the slide.
No,
So
I think it's great. I would not feel in the slightest bit disadvantaged to shoot that.
yeah,
I I mean, if you gave me an XL and said go shoot it, make sure. But if it was an ST, I'd be like, "Ah, I don't care. I mean,
yeah,
it works. It works great. It's a good damn dot.
yep,
I don't know if the ST comes in the 8 MOA though. That's the thing I don't know because the XL does, and I've shot the 8 MOA, and I gotta say, really love that.
yeah.
But
The
I mean,
five MOAST is just
it's
it's
just
just
fine.
just right down the middle. It's a
Yeah,
perfect right
yeah, it's
down the
what I've
middle
got.
optic.
Yeah, that's what I've gotten all of my dots. And
Yep.
so, last question from Seabass. I can now order ammo online shipped straight to my door without California background checks. What should I buy? As much 9 millimeter as you can get your hands on, and everybody else in the country, don't buy for a little bit so that California can actually get some before the stupid government goes and tries to block it.
Block it
There.
again. Yep. Stock up on all the 9 millimeters, 9 millimeter and 223. Like you'll never go wrong buying that because
And since you California,
it just all goes away.
yeah, because Californians are all like more rich than the rest of us, you can buy all of it, and it will be like what, a lunch.
Yeah,
You'll be fine.
yeah, it's a $30 lunch at Jack in a Box. Anyways, thanks for downloading, listening, subscribing. We appreciate all that you guys do for the show, and we just like doing it for you guys. So head on over to Telegram, search PARAcast. You can join the chat and keep downloading, subscribing. There's a video version of this on YouTube every week, so check that out. And for Robert Wyatt, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody. Mhm.